is made up of x, comma, y. For some reason, students like to make this unit more difficult than it is. Okay? One of my favorite bands even has a song that the chorus is, "Some people like to make life a little harder than it is." I don't understand it. If I wrote this number, these two numbers, 3, 7, what did I just write? What is that? 3. And it represents what letter? X. What is that? And it represents what letter? Y. What letter is that? What letter is that? So what number could I put there right now? 3. What number could I put there right now? Can you all do 3 times 3? Can you all do 2 times 7? That is the only thing that happens in this unit. Do you think I could make it any easier than that? Okay, just want to make sure that all of you are aware that that is all that is happening in this unit. There are x's and y's everywhere. This thing is full of x's and y's. Everybody good? Okay, let's do so. Find the x and y intercepts of this line and then put it on the graph. All right? What is every single x-intercept? X, 0. What is every single y-intercept? 0y. That x goes where? This one's the easiest one. It says x. So it goes for x. So that would be 3x minus 2 times what? 0. Because y is 0. Plus 8 equals 0. Then we solve that. Now you will notice if I'm looking for the x-intercept, what happened to the y-coordinate there and there? It drops out because it equals 0, doesn't it? So it drops out. And I am left with 3x plus 8 equals 0. What's your job every time you see algebra? Isolate the variable. How am I going to get rid of this plus 8? You're going to do either minus 8 from both sides, 3x equals negative 8, or you're going to remember that you can just move anything to the other side of the equation and change the sign. Right? Now what are you going to do? Divide by 3, and x will equal negative 8 thirds. Should I put that on the graph now? Why not? What about that makes it a pain in the butt to put on the graph? It's a fraction, right? It's not a whole number. So we're not going to put it on the graph right now because we've either got to change the scale or we've got to guess, right? How far along we are. So we're just going to leave it for a second. We're going to check the y value. So you guys are smart people. When we were doing an x-intercept, the y term dropped out. So now we're doing a y-intercept. So what term drops out? X. And I get negative 2y plus 8 equals 0. Negative 2y equals negative 8. Y equals 4. Is everybody good to there? So now, pardon me? Which, just this at the end? Well, how do you get rid of this negative 2 times y? Okay. Up here, I have 3x minus 2y plus 8, right? But x is now 0. Right. Because what happens when I put 0 here, Sahil? What's 3 times 0? So it drops out. So y equals 4. Yeah? Everybody's cool to there? Okay, now we've got a problem because now we have to decide, are we going to put this at a decimal place or are we going to change the scale? If we change the scale, then 1, 2, 3, this is negative 1, right? right? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, that's negative 2, which is negative 6/3, yes? 7, 8. This would be our x-intercept, way out here, if we change the scale, right? Because that's negative 2 and 2/3. If I change the scale to that level on the x-axis, will I be able to fit the y-intercept on here? I won't, will I? Because I would need to go up 12 squares, wouldn't I? And that won't fit. So here are my options. Option 1, I change the affected axis. So option 1, I change only the x-axis, because it's only the x-axis that's a fraction. Now I go back to y, and I say that's 1. Because I've labeled them, I know that you know what you're doing. Understand? And if I did that, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's option 1. That's why I wrote in blue. Is everybody cool with that? Now there's a slight problem with this. If I asked you for the slope of this line, and it was graphed this way, how many of you would count 4 for a rise and 8 for a run? Negative 8 for a run. Some of you might do that, right? And you would tell me this slope was negative 1/2. And it is not, is it? So you have to be careful of that, right? Option 1, you change only the affected axis, but then you have to remember you can't count squares for slope. Not fro slope. It's not frozone. Honey, you've seen my super suit. If you do this option, you cannot count for squares. Everybody understand? Now, option 2, which I'm going to do in green, you estimate your decimal values. So, if I was working in green, I would say that's 1, that's 1. So now every square is worth 1, right? And I would go out 1, 2, and a little bit, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's what my option 2 slope would be, the green one. Now, if you do that one, then you can actually use the graph. Except this little bit is a guess. So you have to know that this is negative 8/3 and this is 4. Is everybody good with both options? Do I care which one you use? No, but you must label it, right? If you're going to change the scale, you've got to let me know what you've changed it to. Is that clear? Okay. So let's look at this next one. What do I have here? What is this? Coordinates, which means they make up what? There's an x and a y. What is this? Coordinates, which gives me an x and a y. And I have this, which is a slope. What letter do we assign to slope? M. Now, if you look on your data booklet, which you don't have in front of you, but I will remind you of what it looks like. If you look on your data booklet, where the heck is it? Where's your data booklet? Son of a gun. Anyway, on your data booklet, you will see M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Do you have everything you need to fill that in almost completely? Do you have 2 x's? Yep. Do you have 2 y's? No, I only got 1. The other one can be a variable. Do I have a slope? So all I do is algebra. Okay? Now, again, we're going to do this twice. One, we're going to do this algebraically. We're going to do this with algebra. And over here, we're going to do it with graphing. So let's start with the algebra. What's our m? What's 2 really? 2 over 1, because slope is rise over run, right? Equals y2. Which one do you want to make y2? Who's in charge of this decision? You are. So what do you want to make y2? You want to make it y? Okay, so that means this is y2, which means what's that guy? x2. So y minus 6 over negative 4 minus 2. Right? Then all we do is algebra. 2 over 1 equals y minus 6 over negative 6. Now, who remembers how to solve one of these? There's a shortcut to solving it, and then there's a long cut to solving it. Does anybody know how to solve this? Zach? No, the 6's cannot cancel. Jeshua? Kind of, yeah. Anytime you ever have 2 fractions that equal each other, you can always do this. So what is 2 times negative 6? Negative 12 equals, what's 1 times y minus 6? Y minus 6, because 1 times anything is itself. And then you just solve it. How do I get rid of this negative 6? Plus 6, and y equals negative 6. Is everybody good? And that always works in any math, anywhere you go. It's how you change money. It's how you can use it to convert measurements to each other. You can use this piece of knowledge so widely. It's called proportional reasoning, and you can do it all the time. Now, I said we were going to solve this with graphing as well, right? Which of these points can I put on the graph right now? A or B? A. And A is at 1, 2, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, correct? That's point A at 2, 6. Point B is at negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is somewhere on this line. Yes? So my next dot is somewhere on here. The only other thing I know is I have a slope of 2. Slope of 2 is a rise over run of 2 over 1, yes? And they're both positive, yes? So if I have to get this way, though, that's a negative direction from where I started, right? So if I want to keep my slope positive and my run has to be negative, then what does my rise have to be? Also negative. So if I go down 2 and over 1, that's a slope of 2, isn't it? But am I here yet? No. Down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Now I'm on the line I care about, yes? That is my next point. At negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Negative 6. Is everybody good with both algebra and graphing? Obviously, you need to practice it a bit, but does everybody see the general idea between them both? Okay, let's move on to a slightly more difficult one. Now, remember, even though the numbers change, does the math change? So there is no reason to look at the next question and go, is there? Let's look at the next question. What do I know about this situation? I know I have an X and a Y. I have an X and a Y, and I have an M. Right? That's all I need, yes? So I write out M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. And now it is impossible to do it wrong. What goes in for m? Negative 3 over 2. I always put the negative with the numerator. It's just what I do. It could be with the denominator as well. Doesn't matter. Equals. What is y2? Who decides that? You do. Which one do you want to make y2, Jimmy Brar? You want to make this one? That's y2? So what does that make this guy? x2. What does that make this guy? x1. What does that make this guy? y1. So, y2 is what? 5 minus, what's y1? Negative 4 over, what's x2? Negative 1 minus x. Now all we do is simplify. What should this really be instead of minus 4? Negative 3 over 2 equals 5 plus 4 over negative 1 minus x. Oops, I forgot the minus sign, dummy head. 5 plus 4 is what? 9. So this is really 9, right? Now, what do I do? Is it fraction equals fraction? So I cross them. What's 2 times 9? 18 equals. What's negative 3 times negative 1? 3. What's negative 3 times negative x? Positive 3x. Now what do I do with that? Algebra. Right? So the 3 is going to come over here and become what? Negative 3. Negative 3 and 18 is 15 equals 3x. What's my last step? Divide by 3. So what does x equal? 5. Is everybody good algebraically? Now let's go over and graph it. Which point can I put on the graph? x2, y2 or x1, y1? 2 and 2. So I go to negative 1 and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correct? Everyone agree? It's positive 5, dummy head. Thank you. Everybody good? And then I know I need to get down to 1, 2, 3, 4. To negative 4 on the y scale, correct? And I know my slope is negative. So I've put the negative with the top, which is rise, right? So I'm going to go down 3 and then where? Right 2. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, right 2. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1, 2. And there it is. And I check, and oh look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is 5. There's my line. Is everybody good? Yeah? Prove it. Do 8. Graphically and algebraically. Yeah, unless I specifically say. But I think on your quiz, I don't. And I can't imagine I would care. Whichever one you are comfortable with. If you are comfortable with neither, then you're going to want to wait a moment, and I'm going to do it again, and then you'll have one more chance to prove it yourself at the bottom of this page. Does anybody mind if I just do this right now? Turn off the screen, do this right now, and then you see all the work in a minute? Is that cool? You're going to give it a try? I would do that if I could find my remote. But I cannot. Son of a... Pain in the ass. It was upside down. I didn't see all the pretty colors. Shut up. It's hurtful. Has everyone who is going to attempt attempted? Yeah, at least one of them? No rush. I'm just checking. All right. There it is. Oh, who has an answer? What is it? It is 4. Now, obviously, this does not show all the steps, right? Do people need to see all the steps here? So that, of course, is 3 equals 7 minus 5 over x minus 0. 7 minus 5 is really 7 plus 5. X minus 0 is x. Then I cross 3 times x, 3x equals 1 times 7 plus 5, which is 12. Then I divide both sides by 3, and x equals 4. Right? Now over here, I started from this point, and then I just drew my slope. Up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. And there I got up to where y was 7, and then I checked, and x was 4. Everybody good? Okay. One last one with fractions everywhere, and then we are done with this. And then, as you can see, I'm going to give you some work time. So what's this one going to look like? It's going to look exactly the same. Again, if you're having trouble, write out what you know. What is this? That's an x. What is this? That's a y. What is this? Another x. What is this? Another y. What is this? An m. Now, I have to choose which is y1, y2. Who chooses? You do. Which one do you want to make? A lot of people have trouble with this. They can't grasp that it's their decision, that it doesn't matter. If you have trouble with that, then just make the second ones 2 and 2 and 1 and 1. then you don't have to make a decision. It's done for you. 5 over 2 equals negative 2 minus y over negative 3 minus 2. Set it up. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. 5 times then cross. Negative 25 equals negative 4 minus 2y. Plus 4, negative 21 equals negative 2y. Y equals 10.5. Right? Now, there's a problem with that. If I go to the graph, what is the problem with that? If I want to do this graphically, can I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can't, can I? Because the graph is too big. So if I want to do this graphically, I would have to either change the scale or understand what is happening. Right? Here is what is happening. I know negative 3, negative 2 is on the graph, yes? And I know I got to go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 2. Now, 1, 2, I'm off the graph. Right? So if I'm going to do this graphically, I'm in trouble, aren't I? But I know that this point right here is 2, 7, correct? Right? Everyone agree? Gone over 2, up 7, yeah? Now, the next point has got to be up 5, right? Right? So what's up 5 from there? What's up 5 from 7? This isn't a complicated question. 12. Thank you. My next point will be 12. And what is 2 that way from 2? 4. So my next point would be at 4, 12. Yeah? But I need x to be... Wait a minute. 2, 7. What did I do wrong? Did I start in the wrong spot? Oh, I did. I started at negative 2, negative 3, not negative 3, negative 2. What an idiot. Negative 3, negative 2. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2. There we go. Now it's better. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. So now the next one would be 313, yes? But I do not want 1 or 3. What did I want? I wanted 2, right? Right? Which is halfway between 1 and 3, correct? So I must need the y value that is halfway between 8 and 13. How far is it from 8 to 13? 5. So I need half of 5, which is 2.5, right? What's 8 plus 2.5? 10.5, which gives me the same answer. Everybody understand? You can still do it graphically, even if you go off the page, as long as you understand what's going on. Everybody cool? Now, which way always works? Algebra. Always. What if we were doing graphs of things that were really, really big, like distances between stars or something like that? Would we want to use a graph? No, the graph paper would be pretty big, wouldn't it? Right? So in math class, yeah, graphing will get you through. But make sure you can do algebra. Everybody good? All right. I'm going to shut up now until 9:15. 15. Ooh, that's half an hour. That's a long time. I'm going to shut up until 9:05. Then I'm going to show you the next lesson, which will only take 10 minutes because you all understand slope now. And then you'll take your break. And then when you get back, I'll give you a little bit of work time. And then we're going to have a quiz on graphing stuff. Okay? Everybody good? All right, go. When I say go, you are doing page 196. 197 has the answers. Oh, if you feel comfortable with page 196, you will look. If you look forward, you will see 198 says practice, and there's no answers with it, right? This page 198 is about 2/3 of your quiz. So if you feel comfortable, try a couple on page 196. Make sure you know what you're doing. And then if you want, if you're feeling good, skip up to 198 and try it. I'll show you the right answers to 198 at 9:05. Okay? Everybody good? All right. Your other option is to work only on 196 and then take 198 down as notes. Everybody cool? Everybody cool? Okay, go. All right. Any questions from 196? And if there's no questions from 196, then there should be no questions from 198. But I know there will be because most people didn't bother to do 196. Charlotte, hit me. Number 9. Draw a line segment that has one endpoint at the origin and whose slope is that. So here is the origin. Slope 2/3, up 1, 2, out 1, 2, 3. The origin is 0, 0, where it all starts. Any other questions from page 196? Jesha. 16B, as in butthead. I saw a bumper sticker. Do you guys know what a proctologist is? Proctologist is a doctor that works on your butt. So the bumper sticker said, your proctologist called. He found your head. Get it? Because your head is in your butt. Get it? And that same card, another bumper sticker on it that said, don't worry about what other people think. Most people aren't thinking anyway. No? You guys didn't like those? I liked those. Fine. 16B. All right. So, when I dig the trench, the pipe, and I'll draw the pipe gray, because that's the color a pipe would be in my world. The pipe has to drop down 1 inch, and it has to run 4 feet. Now the problem here is inches and feet, right? So it's really got to run 48 inches, because 48 inches is 4 feet, right? So if I actually have to drop the pipe down, the pipe drops 6.5 inches. What did I have to multiply this number by to get to 6.5? 6.5. So what do I have to multiply 48 by to get to there? 6.5, which would be 6 times 40 is 240, 288 plus another 24, 312. And then the other way, you just do the other way. 18 feet down here. It should be 4 feet, right? So this multiplied by 4.5, yeah? Right? So this multiplies by 4.5, so it would be 4.5 inches. How you would turn it into... No, it's 13.5 feet. So you would, of course, divide by 12, and you would get the answer. 312 inches or 26 feet. All right. Anything else? Going once? Going twice? What? 13A. Why do you always wait till I get to going twice, Jimmy? 15A. Okay, well, really? Rise, run. What's the slope? 6 over 90. Done. What? Why is there what? Because it says that the run is 90 inches. So the treadmill looks like this. There's the treadmill. It's 6 inches off the ground and 90 inches that way. Rise 6 over 90. Now this one tells you the run is 90. So what's the rise? It tells you right here, rise is 6 when the run is 90. This one tells you the run is 90. So what's the rise? 6. Why is that decimal there? To show you this. M equals rise over run. M equals 6 over 90. M equals 0.15. Yeah? Now, I lie. I read the question wrong. So now my slope is that. My run is 90. Right? So, M equals rise over run. I know my M is 0.15. My run is 90. So I need my rise. How do I find that? Just like in trig, numbers on the bottom, so it's multiply, right? So it's 90 times 0.15 will equal my rise, and whatever that is. 900 and 450. I can't do that in my head right now. 13 something. 13.45, maybe. 13.45? 0.5, whatever. Because you're going to do that with your calculator. Any other questions? Amrit? 28. All right. For a full pitch roof, the height, which is this right here, the height, and the span are equal. A full pitch roof has a span of 36. So what is the slope of this roof? Well, if the span down here is all 36, right? That makes this 36, correct? Because in a full pitch roof, the height and the span have to be the same. But slope is rise over run, correct? The rise is 36. What's the run? Half of 36, which is 18. So 36 over 18, which is a slope of 2. For the third pitch, 1/3 pitch roof, the height is 1/3 of the span. So the span is still 36. The height is 1/3 of 36, which is 12. But the slope is 12 over 18, which is 0.667. Okay? Or 2/3. Could. Everybody good? All right. Now again, this type of question is where you take slope, rise over run, and apply it to real life. Right? That's what math is about. You learn some stuff, and then you apply it to real life. Okay. Is that it for 196? All right. Do people need some more time with 198, or are we ready to go? More time? 7 minutes? 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Go. You have until 9:38, and then we are going to go over it. It's not for marks, so it doesn't really matter, but you should make sure you have tried it and that you can do it on your own, because the next two things you do with graphing are for marks. One is a quiz, and one is an assignment, kind of like this. What I may actually have you do is do that assignment before we do the quiz. Maybe. Find the slope. Slope is always y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's 2. My pen has stopped working. There we go. That is 2 minus 0 over negative 4 minus 3, which is 2 over negative 7. That's the slope. Graph this using slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form, if you look back in your notes, is y equals mx plus b. B is the y-intercept, and it's our starting point. Now, does that look like that? Almost. What's the only difference? That is 2y, and this is an isolated y. So, if I isolate y, I can graph that. So, I had 2y equals 3x minus 4. How do I isolate y? Divide by 2. If I do something to the left side, what do I do to the right side? The same thing. So I get 3 over 2x minus 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now, does that look like that? Yes. So I go to my starting point of negative 2, and I do a slope of 3 halves. Rise 1, 2, 3. Run 1, 2. Or I could go down 1, 2, 3 and run to the left 2. And there's my line. Any questions? Graph using x and y intercepts. What's the x-intercept? X, 0. What's the y-intercept? 0, y. Those are x's, those are y's. What do you see there and there? X's and y's. So, 6x plus 3y equals negative 12, because I moved that over. Now, put these in here. 0 for the y means what's going to happen to that? It's going to drop out, because 3 times 0 is 0. So I've got 6x equals negative 12, x equals negative 2. Now, the x is 0, so what's going to happen to that? It's going to drop out. 3y equals negative 12, so y equals negative 4. Then I just go over here. My x is negative 2. My y is negative 1, 2, 3, 4. And I connect the line. Don't make this more difficult than it is. X's, Y's. X's, Y's. Find the line of a slope that connects those 2 points. Now, I didn't give you graph paper, did I? So you could do this algebraically, but I did give you some scrap graph paper, didn't I? Or I gave you that option. So if you wanted to, you could graph this, couldn't you? I am going to use algebra because this is a math class. The more algebra practice you get, the better off you will be. So, slope m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, x1, y1, x2, y2. Fill it in. Negative 5 over 4 equals y minus 1 over 5 minus 3, which is negative 5 over 4, y minus 1 over 5 plus 3, which is 8. Then what? Cross. Negative 5 times 8 equals negative 40, and that equals 4 times y is 4y, 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Now you solve. Plus 4, plus 4. Negative 36 equals 4y. Divide by 4, y equals negative 9. And that was it for 198. This is supposed to be on the next page. I don't know why it's there. Okay. Okay. Turn, please, to page 199. Parallel and perpendicular lines. Please put a dot at x equals negative 5 and y equals 3. Where would that be? Where is x equals negative 5? I'm going to zoom in on this a little more because we're going to be doing quite a bit of graphing right now, and I want you to be able to see it better. Where would negative 5 and y equals 3 be? 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And y equals 3? 1, 2, 3. Does everyone agree? Yeah? Okay. Now, take that exact same line and put the dots at, drop it down 5 spots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then drop this one down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now those two are exactly the same line, aren't they? Right? Just one's been slid down the line. Everyone agree? Which means, what is this guy's slope? How do I measure his slope? Rise of 1, 2, 3, and run of 5. What's this guy's slope? 1, 2, 3, and a run of 5. Now, since they're exactly the same line, and the next point is going to be 3 and 5, 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 will those lines ever touch? No. So, if they're parallel, the slopes are the same. Does everybody understand that? It makes good sense, right? If they're parallel, they're never going to touch, so that means the slopes are the same. Right? So that would mean the slope of AB equals the slope of CD. If they are equal, then the lines are parallel. Now, what if I told you this? The other side of that is this. If I said M of AB is parallel, which is what that symbol means. I spelled parallel wrong there. Parallel to CD. If I just say the line AB is parallel to CD, then we know the opposite is true over here. That the slope of AB is the same as the slope of CD. Does everybody understand that that works both ways? If you know they're parallel, they have the same slope. If they have the same slope, then you know they're parallel. Right? Okay, parallel is the easy one. Now we're going to do perpendicular. And we need to do two things here to prove this. Step one, I need to make sure everybody knows what perpendicular means. What does perpendicular mean? When two things meet at 90 degrees, like a floor and a wall. Okay? That's what perpendicular means. So, we're going to do two examples to prove this. First one I just said was floor and wall, correct? A wall goes up and down, a floor goes flat, right? So let's come over to here, and let's draw the line, and we're going to use blue. We're going to draw the line x equals -3 and y equals +3. So where do I put x equals -3? 1, 2, 3. And since it's always -3, it must be a vertical line. Does everyone agree? Okay. Where do I put y equals 3? Where does y equal 3? It's the horizontal line right through here where y equals 3. Now this one is straight up and down and this one is horizontal. Obviously, this is a 90 degree, yes? Everyone agree? Okay. Now, I'm going to call this line 1. I'm going to call this line 2. What is the slope of line 1? How far up and down does it go? Does it ever stop? It's undefined, right? Which means line 1, its slope is an infinite rise over what run? 0. What is the slope of line 2? What's its rise up and down? 0. What's its run? How far left and right will it go? Infinite. What do you notice about the two lines? What's the word for that? They are reciprocals. Everybody cool? Now that's great if they're up and down and side to side, but lines are not always vertical and horizontal, are they? Lines could just as easily be this. Oops, I didn't want to draw it that way. Right? That is our line 3. What is line 3's slope? How far did I go up? I'm going to zoom in a little bit more to make it even easier. How far up did I go? 4. How far, what was my run? 3. So line 3 equals 4/3, correct? And it is indeed a positive slope, yes? Now, if a line were to be perpendicular to this, we already know that line 4, if it is perpendicular, what is going to happen to the fraction? It's going to flip. to 3/4. We know that from what we just proved with the red lines, yes? But 3/4. Do not draw what I'm about to draw. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is 3/4. Is that perpendicular? No, that doesn't meet at 90 degrees. So I must recognize that the line that I am seeking has to cut through this line this way, yes? To make 90 degrees, which means not only must I flip the fraction, what must I do to the slope? This slope was positive, this slope must be negative. So not only do I flip this, I also must change the sign, because one slope must be negative and the other positive. Does everybody understand? So this has to be negative 3/4. So now I can go out here and I can go negative 3/4. So I can go up 1, 2, 3 and right 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to make that line right there. And those two lines are going to be perpendicular. Is everybody good? Which part, Sahil? Well, the first line started at 0, 0, and it had a slope of 4/3. I know from just looking that the other line must flip because of this, and the other line has to have a negative slope or it won't make 90 degrees. So I take the 4/3, I flip it to negative 3/4, and I start from the same point. This is my new slope. So my rise is negative 3. So I could go down 1, 2, 3, and my run is positive 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I could go up 1, 2, 3, and have a run of negative 4. And it would make that gray line, that should have been gray, not green. And that is now 90 degrees. Okay? And same thing works with perpendicular. If they're perpendicular, they have opposite reciprocal slopes. If they have opposite reciprocal slopes, then they must be perpendicular. So we're going to write that right here. Parallel lines have the same slope. Now, if they have the same slope, that means they have the same m. That means they have the same rise over run. They have the same delta y over delta x, and so on and so on and so on. Whatever version of slope you're using, if the lines are parallel, the other line has the same fraction, decimal, whatever. Got it? And we write this as AB is parallel to CD. That means parallel. And that, going both ways, means the slope of AB is equal to the slope of CD. Everybody good? Now, perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes, which means that the m of one equals negative 1 over m of the other. Okay? So if I did rise over run for the first one, what do I do with those same numbers in the second one? Switch them to run over rise, and one of them is negative. Does everybody get it? And the way we write it out is this. AB perpendicular to CD. And that means that the M of AB equals -1 over the M of CD. Now this doesn't make a lot of sense until you see it in numbers, which is of course what we're about to do. But I want to give everybody enough time to get that down. Now again, this is something all the grade 10s have already seen and the grade 9s. This is something totally new to you. Okay. You should be able to do all of this in your head in about 5 seconds, right? That's my first slope. What would perpendicular be? -3 over 2. That's my first slope. What would perpendicular be? +1 over 7. 4. Read. 4. -5 over 11, perpendicular. 11 over 5, but positive. Slope of 0, what's the perpendicular slope? Infinite, so it's undefined. Undefined, what's its perpendicular? 0. Is everybody good? All right, now that you know how it works, now that you know why it works, let's apply it to some numbers. So here I have 2 lines. I have ST and AB. All right? If they are parallel, then what do I know about the slope of ST and the slope of AB? If they're parallel, what's going there? Equals. Right? If they're perpendicular, not perpendicular, and I'll change color. If they're perpendicular, then the slope of ST must equal 1 over the slope of AB, and it'll be negative. And if they're neither parallel nor perpendicular, they're just going to have different slopes, right? So, what do I need to do right now? I need to find slopes. I need to find the slope of what and what? I need the slope of AB. What is it? Where is AB? A, B. What's the slope? Practice it now. If you can't find it, you don't see it automatically, start practicing now. What are they? Which one? 1 minus minus 1 is 1 plus 1. So what are they? Is one positive and one negative? So it's possible they're perpendicular. Are they reciprocals of each other? Yes, because what is 2 really? 2 over 1. So finish the question off by writing out the answer. AB is perpendicular to CD. I mean, not CD, sorry. What was it? ST. Does everybody get it? Yeah? Okay. Is triangle ABC a right triangle? If triangle ABC is a right triangle, then one of its corners must be what? 90 degrees. 90 degrees means one of the corners must be perpendicular, right? How many corners are in a triangle? 3. So I would need to check 3 corners, wouldn't I? But I don't really need to check 3 corners, do I? Because if I do this, if I take 2 seconds to sketch the graph, I can eliminate some corners, can't I? So let's sketch the graph. A is going to be a pink dot. Where is negative 3, negative 1? Where is negative 3, negative 1? Left 3, down 1. Correct? There's A. Other way, left 3, up 1. There's A, right? B is going to be a nice blue dot. Where is 6, negative 2? Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down 1, 2. There's B. Everyone agree? And C will be a nice orange dot at 1, 2, 3, up 4. There's C. And then, if I connect the dots, where is the only possible 90 degree? Right here, correct? So all I have to do is check AC and the slope of CB. If it's 90, what will I find out? Right? If it's 90, what will I find out? I'll find out that one of the slopes is the opposite reciprocal of the other slope. Yes? So everybody practice. What is the slope of AC? Does order matter? No. Could I do 4 minus 1 over 3 plus 3? Is that okay? Could I also do 1 minus 4 over negative 3 minus 3? Could I also do that? Yeah, because what do they both give me? The same answer. 4 minus 1 is 3 over 6. 1 minus 4 is negative 3 over negative 6. Right? And that, would I ever leave that fraction that way? What is it? 1/2. So now I know the slope of AC. What's the slope of CB? Somebody give me the first version. What could I write? 4 minus minus 2 over 3 minus 6. Or negative 2 minus 4 over 6 minus 3. And that's okay because 4 minus minus 2 is 6. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. 6 minus 3 is 3. And then they both give me negative 2. Is negative 2 and negative positive 1/2 opposite reciprocals? Yes, because what is negative 2 really? Negative 2 over 1. So these are opposite reciprocals. Since m of AC equals 1 over the negative m of CB, triangle ABC is perpendicular. Everybody understand? Yeah? Yeah? Can I slide along? Okay, so now what do we got here? I got 2 points. I got AB and I got CD. But I don't actually know where D is, do I? But I do know that if AB is parallel to CD, what do I know about their slopes? What symbol would go there? Equals. So, can I solve this side? Can I write the slope of AB? What is it? 10 minus 5 over 7 minus 3. What is the slope of CD? A minus 2 over 1 minus 0. And then what do I do? Algebra. What's 10 minus 5? 5. What's 7 minus 3? 4 equals A minus 2 over, what's 1 minus 0? 1. What do I do now? Cross them. What's 5 times 1? 5. What's 4 times A? 4A minus 8. Solve it. What do I have to do with that 8? Move it over here. So I either add it or move it. Do I care what you do? No. However comfortable you are with doing algebra, that's how you do it. So I'm going to move it over here. Now it's positive 8. 13 equals 4 over A. Now what? Divide by 4. A equals 13 over 4. Does that make sense? Sure, because that's just 3 1/4, right? We can find 3 1/4 on a graph. We go up 3 and then a little bit more, right? And we're done. Is everybody cool? Okay, now, line AB is perpendicular. So, if they're perpendicular, then the slope of AB must equal, what do I have to do to CD? Flip it and change the sign, right? So, CD, 1 over negative slope of CD. Do I know the slope of AB? I just found it. What is it? 5 over 4. And that would have to equal now. Here's where we get tricky. Isn't, and I'm going to shrink this down so you can all see it on the page all at once. Isn't this the slope of CD? Isn't it? So if they're perpendicular, what has to happen to this if it's perpendicular? It's got to, first it's got to reciprocate. So what would that be? That would be 1 over A minus 2. Reciprocate it first. And then it's got to go opposite. So what has to change? Right now, is this positive or negative? What sign is in front of that? Positive, and that's positive, right? So as long as I put a negative anywhere in there, am I going to be good? So the easiest way, I think, to make something negative is to just change the numerator. Have I reciprocated it? Have I opposited it? So now I can come back over here, and what do I write? Negative 1 over A minus 2. And then what do? Cross, like I always do in math. Negative 4 equals 5a minus 10. Then what? Algebra. However you want. I'm going to move that, and it becomes positive 10. 10 minus 4, 6 equals 5a. And last step, divide by 5. A equals 6/5. Can we find 6/5 on a graph? Yeah, because it's 1 1/5. So we go out to 1 and go a little tiny bit past. Does everybody get it? All right. And it is 10:19. Now listen to me. I don't want to give you this because we're going to get interrupted. There's only half an hour left, or 20 minutes left in the block, and Ms. Bell and Mr. Brach promised me we'd be done by the end of first block. Now, you guys know as well as I do, promises can only occur if all the conditions are right, correct? They promised me that last week. Last week is not now, is it? Something might have happened. We may have to go into even the third block. All right? We're supposed to write a test. I know that you do not want your test interrupted. That will screw you up. I know that. You know that. So we are going to assume that they are going to come and get us before 10:40. All right? So you're going to work until 10:40 on 202 and 203. Make sure you know what you're doing. And then 204 until 10:40. If they haven't gotten you yet on the break, I'm going to run down and say, guys, I needed to do a test today. I've waited till now. So I'm going to tell them to either come get you after the third block, or if they say, well, we got to do it right now, then this test will have to move again. All right? No, I can't move it till tomorrow. It's got to be done today. All right? Everybody good? Now, what does that mean for the quiz? The quiz might slide till tomorrow, or very last thing we do today. But that Unit 5 test is happening today, no matter what. Everybody cool? All right. All righty then. How do I do number 1? How do I do number 1? He waited patiently for everyone to be quiet, open to where they were supposed to be, and for somebody to tell him how to do number 1. Slope-Intercept Form. What is it? Y equals mx plus b. Isolate y. Is y isolated? Is it? No. So, should I move y? No, because it's already positive. 3y equals negative 2x plus 4. Now, how do I isolate y? Divide by 3. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4/3. Now, because it's a fraction, that gets you 1 mark, because all you had to do is algebra. To get another mark, you have to graph it. Where do you start? Positive 4/3. Because it's a fraction, should you change the scale? I would. 1, 2, 3. There is 1. There is 4/3. Keep the same scale on the bottom. 1, 2, 3. There is 1. If they are the same scale, am I allowed to count squares? Yes. Down 1, 2, out 1, 2, 3. So you should have a line that looks something like that for your second mark there. Any questions?
Yours, you have negative 2 and then 3. You did negative 2.
Oh, I made a positive slope, didn't I? Negative 2, positive 3, negative 2, 1, 2, 3, positive 3. It should look like that. Thank you, Zach. And that is, of course, because I am trying to multitask and I am old. Because I am trying to fix your marks. Any questions on that? You will be quizzing on it very soon. Tomorrow would be very soon, wouldn't it? It would be the next possible day. Maybe even. No, we're not going to do it today. No questions? Excellent. Then I am moving on. So on your quiz, when I give you a question about slope-intercept form, I expect every single person to get it right. Using x and y intercepts. What is an x-intercept? x0. What is a y-intercept? 0y. What do I do with those? You sub them in over here. When it's an x-intercept, what disappears? The y. So it's 5x plus 15 equals 0. 5x equals negative 15. X equals negative 3. When it's the y-intercept, what disappears? The x. So it's negative 10y plus 15 equals 0. Negative 10y equals negative 15. Y equals positive 1.5. Since it's a decimal, we should change the scale. 1, 2. There is 1. So 1, 2. There is 1. So y is 1.5. 1, 2, 3. There's my y-intercept. And negative 3 for the x. So how far to the left do I have to go? 6, because I've changed my scale. 1, 2, 3. And it should look something like that for your, again, 2 marks. If you only found one of the intercepts properly, you should only get half a mark. Any questions about that? Going once. Going twice. Going thrice. Excellent. That means any question I give you about x's and y intercepts, everyone should get perfect on their quiz tomorrow. Sweet! Wow. It's going to be a fun quiz to mark tomorrow. I'm going to get a lot of exercise on tick. That's a good exercise. I like that one. I don't like this one. That one pisses me off. But this one, that makes me happy. I could do that all day. Find the slope. How are you going to find that slope? Who's going to tell me how you're going to find that slope? Who's going to volunteer? Who's got a backbone? Like in Mortal Kombat when the guy reaches in and rips your spine out. Who will have one for the fatality? Finish him. Nobody? Nobody has a spine? Sub-Zero will not kill you? What, Zach? Of course it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So of course it is 4 minus 3 over 2 minus negative 10. Or it's 3 minus 4 over negative 10 minus 2. Because they're the exact same thing. And what is the answer? 1/12 positive. For 2 marks. 1 for figuring out the formula and 1 for being able to add and subtract. I know it's the 10th grade, but I feel I should maybe give out some marks for being able to add and subtract. As I've just finished marking your tests, and apparently adding and subtracting is still a bit of an issue for some of you. Find the slope of a line parallel to this. How could I find the slope here? If I put it into slope-intercept form, would I know the slope? Yes, I would. So that is negative 3y equals negative 5x plus 12. Y equals 5 over 3, because 2 negatives make a positive. So what would every slope parallel to that be? 5/3. for 2 marks. 1 for recognizing what you have to do and 1 for being able to do it. Perpendicular here, same thing. 2y equals negative 7x. Do I even care about the 10? Do I even care about the 10? No, because I only care about perpendicularity, which is slope only. So y equals negative 7 halves x. That's what this line is. I don't want this line. I want perpendicular. So what is it? 2/7, also for 2 marks. Now, oh wait, I didn't do the thing. Any questions about slope? Going once. Going twice. Going thrice. Let me give you a real good piece of advice right here. It will be as cold as ice if I give you this advice. You will then find your quiz to be nice. What? Why don't I just be a rapper? That would make me happier. Now, Lil trinomial. I would think I would probably go with more factor of x. Or something like that. When in doubt, ladies and gentlemen, it is not so bad, Sophia Johansson. It is so good. I'm not done yet. It was not bad, Sophia Johansson. It was good. As a matter of fact, I'd say it was rad every chance I could. Yes, thank you, thank you. I'll be appearing here for 4 more days only. Tip your waitress. Once again, if in doubt in this unit, if in doubt, find slopes. Think how many times do we find the slope so far? Almost every question. So is there any reason to look at a question and go, I don't know what to do. What should I do with this question? I'm going to leave a blank because I don't know what to do. What will you do? Tirith, what will you do? Exactly. Jimmy Brar, what will you do? Find the slope. Way to go, Jimmy Brar. Nice job. Number 6. A line goes through that point with that slope. Have we seen anything that has an x, a y, and a slope in it? We have, haven't we? What is it that we have seen that has that? If you were doing this with algebra, you could go y equals mx plus b. And you could put negative 2 equals negative 2/3 times 5 plus b. And you could find out what b was. Right? No, sorry, negative 5. Right? You could do that if you were using algebra. If you were graphing, you could put the dot at negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And down 1, 2. And you could recognize that the slope is negative 2/3, which is rise over run, correct? So you would go from negative 2 down to what? Negative 4 and negative 5. Which direction? Right 2 to negative 3. And that would work. Oh, it's right 3, negative 2. Right? Either one would work, and you're going to get 2 marks for figuring it out. I am assuming every single person has -2, -4, or -8, 0. Rise of 2, run. Yes. I'm going to assume everyone has one of those 2 points because those are the next 2 points from -5, -2. Does anybody have a different point? Wonderful. Any questions about why either one of those work? All right. It's going to be my favorite quiz to mark tomorrow because everyone's getting perfect. Is that a right triangle? How do you know? I don't know. Well, I do. What should you do? You should graph it to do what? What is the point of graphing it? To find out which corner to check, yes? Can you just graph it and then do no more work and say, that looks like a right angle triangle, Mr. Myers? Is that allowed? No, you have to prove it. So we'll do a quick little sketched graph because we're smart people. 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 1, 2. A. 1, 2, up, 1. B. 1, 2, down, 1, 2. C. What's the only possibility? B. So we need to check the slope of CB and the slope of BA. CB is, of course, -2 minus 1 over -2 minus 2, which is -3 over -4, which is 3/4. BA is, of course, 1 plus 2 over 2 plus 4, which is 3 over 6. Huh? Perpendicular? No. So right angle triangle? No. For 2 marks. Making the whole thing out of 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Math, 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 math. 8, 10, 12, 14 marks. And when will you tell me what you got when you... You'll write it on your quiz tomorrow. Now, I am up to Johansson in fixing your marks here. It will just take me another moment or two. There was... Silly me again. Silly me again. I believed the key that came with the test that said number 16 was D. Number 16 is not D. Number 16 is C. So a lot of people are getting an extra mark. And a few people are losing a mark. Why? You'd still the wrong answer. Yeah, but... Dude, don't worry about it. I totally fixed your brakes wrong, but I fixed them the way this book said I should fix them, but this book was for a Ford and your car's a Dodge, but I fixed it like the book, so I think you'll be okay.
Was the 16 wrong last time too?
No, I don't think it was 16. Correct. Mundo. Now, what time is it? It's 1:45. You know what? Let's do the next lesson. Everybody go to 6-4, which is 206. Page 206. Alrighty then. Okay. You kids know 3 ways to take an equation and put it on a graph. The first way you learned in the 9th grade, you called it something like a table of values, or the new term for it, which I do not like, a T-chart. And you all know how to fill those in. I will continue to use black. You have 2x plus 2 equals y, x, y. You choose some points, 1, 2, 3. You put them in for x, 4, 6, 8. Now you have some y's, you put them on the graph, draw a line, and Bob's your uncle. Or as my buddy says, Robert's your dad's brother, which I think is really funny when you say it that way. Never mind. The second way you learned, which I will do in red, is you learned x and y intercepts, which we will do in red. We still have 2x plus 2 equals y, but now we have 0 y and x 0. And you sub them in over here. 2x plus 2 equals 0. 2x equals negative 2. X equals negative 1. And you had 2 equals y. And then you made your graph that way. That's the second way you learned. The third way you learned was slope-intercept, which I will do in bleu. Which, this is already in slope-intercept form. In slope-intercept form, you isolate y to get a y-intercept and a slope. Now, what is common to all 3? X and y. That's the only thing, correct? Because you don't get a slope from table of values unless you do some algebra. You don't get a slope from the red one. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask real nice before I get real frickin' angry. Shut up. That's me asking nicely. Okay? Good. Slope-intercept, of course, you get a single point, and you get the slope, and then you count. None of which allow you to work anywhere you want on the graph. However, there is a fourth method. And that fourth method, depending on who's teaching it, some people call it point slope, some people call it slope point. I don't care. Call it whatever you want. Is point slope form. And point slope form is lovely because it uses any point, not just an intercept, and the slope. Okay? Okay. First, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Then I'm going to show you how to work with it. This is point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m bracket x minus x1. Now, this one and this one is the point we know on the graph. So it is our starting point. Just like in slope-intercept form, we start at the y-intercept. In point-slope form, we start at that point. But there's a trick. You need to look at it. Here is what I mean. If I have a graph, and I'm going to sketch a graph right here, and I'm going to, somebody give me a number between 1 and 10. between 1 and 10? 7. And another number between 1 and 10? 4. Where would 7, 4 be? Right? 7 up 4, correct? Everybody agrees? All right. Now the line that goes through that point, line 1, the M of line 1 is 2/5. Okay? Now, do I have a slope? Yeah. Do I have a point? Yeah. Now, take this and put your knowledge into that pink equation and tell me what I should write right here in purple. Talk to me. Y minus 4 equals 2/5 minus 7. Everybody see? Now, please notice, when we actually put it into the formula, what do we see? -7. But what was the point on the graph? +7. Is everybody with me? Everybody, you don't know why this is happening, but is everybody with me in that we put minus whatever the point was? Are we good? Okay, so now this is the reason for it. If you did not know this was the starting point, right? You didn't know that, then you just have these coordinates, 7, 4, don't you? Is that x a 7? Is that 7 an x? Yes, what letter is that? X, so what would I write there? 7. Is that 4 a y? So what would I write there? 4. What is 4 minus 4? 0. What is 7 minus 7? 0. 2.2/5 times 0 is 0. Does 0 equal 0? Yes. This is why your starting point must actually go on the graph as an opposite. Because you need 0 to equal 0, algebraically speaking. Is everybody good? The problem with this is kids don't believe me. So I'm going to rewrite. You all agreed that that's what the equation had to be, right? Because it was minus the x and y values, correct? Now, if I ask you to tell me what your starting point is here, even though I've done this whole big lecture right now, a bunch of you are still going to say, it's -7, -4, Mr. Myers. You still are going to do that. Now, if that were true, what would happen when I put that in for y and that in for x? What is -4 minus 4? -8. What is -7 minus 7? -14. Times 2/5 is -28 over 5, correct? Does -8 equal -28 over 5? No. Everybody understand? Good. Now, all you have to do is read this. When I ask for the attributes of a line, that means I want the slope and a single point. Because if I know the slope and a single point, can I draw the rest of the line all the way to infinity? Yes, because it's a line and slope is rise over run. Up and over, up and over, up and over, forever. So, what are the attributes of line 1? What is my slope? -2/3. What is the point on the graph? 1 and -2. Everybody know how to do it? That's all there is to it. And now you can use any point on the graph. It doesn't need to be a special one. What about this one? What's my M? negative 1/4. What is the point on the graph? Negative 3, 4. Uh-oh, this one looks different. If it looks different, is the math different? No, because what this really is y plus 1 equals 1 times x plus 2. So now, what is my slope? 1, and what is my point? Negative 2, negative 1. Yeah? Okay, look at 4. What's missing? There's nothing subtracted from y. What number is nothing? Zero. So this is really y minus 0 equals 1/2 x plus 4. So what's my slope? 1/2. What's my point? Negative 4, 0. Is everybody picking up what I'm putting down? What about this one? Oh, tricky. What's this really? Negative 1 x plus 5. So what's my slope? Negative 1. What's my point? Negative 5. Negative 3. And lastly, a nice easy one to build your confidence. What's my m? 4/5. And what's my point? 1/10. Can everybody read this? Okay, everybody can read it now? All right, now listen to me. What do you still see in every one of these? You still see an x and a y. What have we been dealing with that is full of x's and y's? The graphs. Turn the page over and let us see, cabbages. What form is that in? Point slope form, the form we are dealing with, which means we can find a starting point, and once we have a starting point, what do? We count our rises and runs to get the slope. What is our starting point? Negative 1, 2. Negative 1, 2. What is my slope? 2/3. 2 is the rise. 3 is the run. Since they are both positive, I need to go up 1, 2, and right 1, 2, 3. Now, to be perfectly proving this, we should make sure we have 3 points. So I'm going to go back to my starting point, and I'm going to go down 2 and left 3. And lo and behold, it makes a nice line. Does everybody understand? Good. Look at the next one. What is my starting point? Negative 5, negative 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 1. What is my slope? Negative 2/1. That's my rise. That's my run. And I should do that twice, once in each direction. So the first one, I'm going to go down 2, 1, 2, and run 1. The other one, I'm going to go up 2 and run 1 the other way. I'm going to make that line. Is everybody good? No matter what I write there, you should all be able to graph it if you are in point slope form. Can you do so? Awesome, possums. Let us look at the next question. Number 9, how many lines am I dealing with? 2. I have line 1, which I'm going to do in red, 2x minus y plus 8 equals 0. And then I got line 2, about which I know nothing. Or do I? I know a lot about line 2. I know that the M of line 2 is perpendicular to the M of line 1. And what else do I know? They cross at the y-axis, which means line 1 and line 2 share what? They share a point. Where is that point and why is it special? They share a y-intercept. So, if I know the slope and the y-intercept of line 1, do I automatically know the slope and the y-intercept of line 2? I do, don't I? So if I know the slope and the y-intercept of line 2, do I not then automatically know the equation of line 2? Yes. What should I do to this to find the numbers that I seek? Could I do a table of values? Could I do x and y intercepts? Could I do slope-intercept form? Could I do point-slope form? Not yet. But I could do slope-intercept form, which would be y equals 2x plus 8, right? Because I've gotten y isolated, and it's positive. Yeah? So now I know my slope and I know my y-intercept, correct? Now, I want the line 2 equation in point-slope form. Point-slope form, we remember, is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And the y and the x are the point that I know. So I'm going to take a moment and let you think about that. Are you done yet? Really? All right. So, what is the point that we know from line 1? It is 0, 8, right? What is the slope from line 1? 2 over 1. How do I take that information and put it down here? It is y minus what? 8 equals, what's my m? Negative 1/2 because it's perpendicular. Then what? x. Technically, what do I need to write? Minus 0. Would I ever actually write that? So in point slope form, this is technically y minus 8 equals negative 1/2 x. Is everybody good? Lovely. It is 1:05. You have 15 minutes. 20 minutes left in class. So, I would like to do a couple of things. One, I would like to hand back the last two things I have from you. One is the cumulative exam. Very well done by a few people, amazingly. I will hand that back to you so you have it from which to study. I will also hand back the test you just wrote. I will not be bothering to go over both of them today because we will not have time to go over both of them today. Some of you will need to have the cumulative 2 gone over, and some of you won't. I will be going over both of them, but not today. One of them today only. Everybody else, or in the meantime, page 208 and 209 is homework. Now, before I push stop on the recording, remember, ladies and gentlemen, that's what point slope form is in algebra, right? Right? If I was doing this with x's and y's, that's what I would use, correct? In real life, what is this really? IV minus dv value minus the known dv equals my rate of change, because it might not be a slope, it would be like kilometers per hour, and then my IV value minus my known IV. That is real life. Okay? Okay.